What is up, guys? Welcome back to another Build It Ben video, and in today's video we are back on the Prelude. Yes, back on this, looks like it's floating spaceship video. And today we're definitely gonna finish everything. Get the transmission removed, remove the clutch, flywheel, and replace that rear main seal that I'm almost certain is leaking, and then get everything put back together. Axles back in, and then everything on top, and then put some fluid in the transmission, and hopefully get this thing actually driving. And as you guys remember from the last video, when I went to drain the transmission before I removed the axles, there was no fluid in the transmission, which leads me to believe that that was the actual cause as to why the car wouldn't come out of gear, even though it was in neutral. So hopefully the transmission isn't bad, and hopefully we didn't really do all this for no reason. Although that rear main seal needed to be changed. So either way, I would rather not buy a transmission for this car. I'd rather just do the clutch, and hopefully, fingers crossed, everything's good. So let's get to work. Well, this is definitely not the shirt to be wearing while doing this kind of greasy, oily work, but whatever, it is what it is. Also, guys, please do not forget to subscribe. I'm trying to hit 1,000 subscribers, and we're at like 260. So please subscribe, please like, and please leave me a comment and let me know what I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong, what I could be doing better, so we can just improve every video as they come out. So please subscribe, support the channel, and please let me know what I could be doing better, or if I'm doing a good job. Here we go. I need to remove one more cross member, a bar that goes forward and aft, and those bolts are tight, so I'm gonna have to take out the big impact. This here bad boy. Good grief. Okay, so now that I think I removed everything from underneath, all the bolts, let's go ahead and put the car down and start on top of the engine. Now, in the last video that I had forgot to mention was there was a couple other things I had to do. Two hoses here, I think they were power steering hoses. These needed to come off, and I made a huge mess thinking I could get away by putting them in a plastic bottle. But as you can see, that didn't work, and I made a mess underneath. So it was that. And then also the shifter cables. After I removed the actual cables from the transmission, I had to undo the mount itself from the transmission so that the transmission can come down. And there was another sensor, some kind of sensor back there that I also had to unplug. All right, let's see if we can't remove these transmission motor mounts and then drop the transmission. And hopefully I don't drop the transmission or something bad happens. I do not recommend you do this alone, unless you have to, like I did. I don't have anybody around, and I'm not gonna have my wife help me. But it's out. Let me just pull it out and we'll take a look. Guys, let's take you in for a closer look. That was hard. And yeah, this thing is just absolutely filthy. Needs an absolute scrub down. And yeah, let's take a look. Ugh. Throw out bearing. I don't know. Is it stuck? Clutch fork. Anyways, I don't even remember how this went. All right. Definitely needs new, at bottom at least. Axle seals on both ends. And yeah, it's just absolutely covered in grime and grease. I don't know what that number is. This might be a, I don't know, secondary transmission. I kept having issues with this right here. This kept hanging up, and so I finally had to remove this here. But there's the flywheel, or excuse me, pressure plate, clutch behind it, and then the flywheel. So let's get this removed, and we'll go from there. Alright guys, well, I'm not sure what's going on here. I can't figure out what the size of these 12-point bolts are. They're not 10s, they're not 12s, they're not 13s or 11s. And then I try to go standard, and I can't figure out what, they're not 3/8. I'm not sure what size bolt those are. I'm gonna try an 11 one more time. 10 was too small, 12 was too big. I don't know. Oh, that was weird. I guess it's an 11. All right. That's weird. My 3/8 size 11 is too big, and then my 1/4 inch 11 fits just right. Well, I don't want to strip them, and I think that this 6-point isn't doing the trick. I think I need a 12-point. All right, I'll let you guys back in once I figure it out. All right, so I finally figured out the size. For some reason, my 1/4 inch 10mm wasn't doing the trick. Harbor Freight tools, I swear they're not the same size that they say they are. So I have a 1/2 inch 10mm 12-point. I gotta jam a pry bar somewhere so I can keep the engine from spinning. Tell if this is a new clutch or not, but there was a ton of NICs on the shaft, on the transmission, so plus the car has 200,000 miles, so you would imagine it's been done at least once. Well, we finally got it out. And I'm gonna have to compare it with the other clutch to see if this is indeed, if it's been replaced, if it has been replaced before. So I'll take a look. Now, on with the flywheel. All right, so I was able to take out the pressure plate, clutch, and the flywheel, and let's see how she's looking. Everything is really, really dirty, and I hope it's because of the rear main seal, but let's take a look. So there's just a ton of oil, and that's gotta be leaking. But why is it everywhere in here? Does this plate leak too? I can't tell. Anyways, that's gonna get replaced. And here are the old parts. Now this old clutch, honestly, it's not that worn. I can see the rivets, got a lot of meat, and there's still a divot over here. Although it did look like it was kind of being worn unevenly. It looks like it was being worn a little bit more on the inside. And the old flywheel. It looks like it was getting hot. Alright, well, let's continue putting everything back together, and to be honest, I'm not entirely sure how I'm gonna get this transmission back in here by myself. That's a fact. So I may end up needing some help. See if I can't get somebody to come out here and help me put it in, but anyways. Alright, let's keep going. Alright guys. So here we have the flywheel, the new flywheel installed, and getting ready to put on the clutch and pressure plate. And here's the old crank seal, or rather rear main seal. I guess it is a crank seal. Definitely old and was leaking. It's really hard, and I actually had to drill 2 holes into it and then put in 2 screws and yank on it for it to come out. And actually the new one was a bit of a pain to get it installed. But here's the setup. Of course, we had to clean the surface of this and also of the flywheel. And now this will be going back in. And yeah, I'll show you once everything's done in, and we'll be ready for the transmission to go in. And just like that, new rear main seal installed, flywheel installed, clutch pressure plate. I didn't have a 3/8 inch drive torque wrench, so I had to use this 1/2 inch. 60 for the flywheel bolts, 60 foot-pounds, and 30 foot-pounds for the bolts on the pressure plate. At least that's what I found online. So, all right, well, it looks like we're pretty much ready to clean this disaster of a transmission. So filthy. And then we can replace these axle seals on either end, and then replace this bearing, and then yeah, and then we're ready to throw this back in.
All right, guys, so it's been a few days since we removed this transmission, and yeah, so what I did end up doing was giving it a quick clean, and then I ended up removing the oil pan because it was definitely leaking. And when I went to go remove the oil pan, bolts and everything, all of the bolts were finger loose, or finger tight rather. And that was because I think from just the vibrations. So in fact, 2 of them were missing, and one of them was just hanging out on the exhaust. Yeah, had gotten stuck on the exhaust. But the other one I couldn't find anywhere, so I ended up buying some from O'Reilly's, and it's a little longer than the other ones, so hopefully it doesn't bottom out. If not, we'll just kind of grind the end down. So we'll get that oil pan installed, and then after that we'll get the exhaust back up, and then on with the transmission. When I drained the oil and removed the pan, this engine is pretty dirty. They definitely didn't keep up with their oil changes. So let's get that oil pan installed, the exhaust back up, and I'll get back to you guys when all of that is done and we're ready to install this transmission. So I didn't go too crazy, but sprayed it with degreaser, rinsed it off. It's not the prettiest, but it's definitely a lot better than what it was. And then I'll change out the axle seals, and then we should be ready to throw that bad boy in. So let's do it. All right, guys. So I managed to get the oil pan in and also the transmission seals. The transmission seals weren't all that bad, but this oil pan was a pain in the butt and getting that exhaust back in. So let's go underneath and see what we got. So as you guys can see, pan is in, and so is this exhaust. Getting these bolts up here, those 14 mils were a pain, and also this bracket, and of course the hangers. So so that was that, and now that that's over, now we can finally install the transmission, and now we'll definitely have, you know, plenty of room without having to worry about the oil pan. So let's get this positioned. Actually, the only thing I need to do is I need to install the throwout bearing and then clean this fork. So let's do that. Okay, I'm gonna have to go ahead and guess that I did it right. Right? All right. I'm gonna assume it's right. I'm certain it's right. All right, let's go ahead and get ready to put it in. Let the struggling begin. I'm going to turn you guys off, and I'll turn you back on once I figure this out.
Okay guys, so I've been struggling with this transmission for like 4.5 hours. A couple days ago I had to take a break from it, but I can't seem to get it in the last inch for it to mate with the block. So let me show you guys. So this is as far as I've gotten. I got a little bit of gap there and more of a gap on that aft side, but I just can't seem to get it to go in there. I got a couple of screws or a couple of bolts, one up here, one over here, that I try to keep them there to keep the transmission aligned, but I'm gonna have to remove them and try to do it again. It's such a struggle trying to do it by myself. The transmission is really awkward, and it's heavy. So I'll get back to you guys once I can finally get this closer to the block. Now I don't know if I'm gonna need to install an axle to try and turn the transmission a little bit to get the splines to line up, but I don't know. I guess I'll just continue trying to do different things and hopefully something works out. So I'll get back to you guys once I get this figured out. And after about an hour, she's all in. So basically the problem was I needed to jack up the engine from the oil pan up just a tiny bit, and that made all the difference. Yeah, and once I got basically all of the bolts started, I kind of brought it in, and yeah. So I don't know. You live and learn. Never done a transmission before, and yeah. Now the question is how I'm gonna get this transmission mount in there. I've been fighting with it. So yeah, well, there's the transmission. We'll be doing everything underneath, getting everything tidied up and everything up here. Add some fluid, and hopefully she disengages and is not stuck in gear. If not, then we'll probably just have to get a new transmission, because at that point I really don't know. So all right, let's get to continue working, and hopefully we'll get this buttoned up here soon. Well, we were lied to by the previous owner. Good news, bad news. Good news. We got everything back together, and the car now comes out of gear, and so it's not stuck in any one gear. Everything works as it should. So I had the car running for like 3-4 minutes, and I had a bit of a surprise, and I figured it's probably a little condensation coming out of the exhaust, no big deal, you know. Well, it's not a little condensation. It's a lot of coolant that comes out of the exhaust. So, yep. Now, the next question is, what do I do? Spent money on the clutch, spent money on new spark plugs installed, new oil, new filter, new engine air filter. Struggled a lot with that transmission. So I don't know. Do I attempt to change out the head gasket? Do I buy a new engine and replace it? Or do I just sell this project? I've never done a head gasket. That's probably a little over my head. I don't even know how much a used engine would be. Oh, I'm so bummed out. I really wanted this, I really wanted to be driving this thing. I don't know, guys. I guess maybe, I guess you guys could probably let me know what you guys think I should do. Oh, I'm so upset. I even asked the seller, I was like, okay, is the engine good? Yeah, engine's good. Yeah, sure. It just doesn't come out of gear. It just needs a new clutch. It just, whatever. I'm gonna have to think about this. Don't know what to do. I'm a little upset. But I really like the car. I don't know. Anyways, I'll get back to you guys, let you guys know what I come up with. I'll look at some engine prices. I'll look into what it takes to do the head gasket on this. And we'll just go from there. Stick around.